Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me yet again today. Now you may think that's a very glam background, but I have some method to my madness, because otherwise you'll see an ironing board. So instead I turn the camera around, so you see a nice lit Christmas tree. I'm giving all my state secrets away, aren't I? Anyway, I'm so glad you could join me. It's later on in the day, and yes, I do have some new eye makeup on. I'm deliberately not doing an impression of it yet because I'm waiting for other parts to the set to arrive. So as soon as they do, I shall do a review of it. But if you want to see what I'm wearing today, then have a look in the description bar. Now this video is called Dupe for Bobbi Brown Vitamin enriched face base. I had to remind myself then, question mark. So I only have a little small pot of Bobbi Brown's vitamin enriched face base. I got a sample of it, or a travel size. I think I was given this when I bought a couple of eyeliners. I went and did a shop on Bobbi Brown before, and if you can hear screaming from my other half, don't worry, he's not in pain, he's watching Chelsea play. So I got this pot of Bobbi Brown, and I love it. I'd forgotten I had it, and I dug it out the other day, and I love it. It's got a lovely lemony smell to it. A lot of people have heard of it, but I also there was another reason that I dug it out, which was because I've seen some reviews of this Lisa Armstrong all about the base cream, and when I read the reviews they said it's just like Bobbi Brown, and sure enough, let's just show you the packaging. Now I haven't got the full size, I've just got a travel size, but I've seen the full size and it even looks like the jar. So here is the jar. This is the Lisa Armstrong all about the base, it's called, which I think is a really cool name actually. All about the base, and as I say, the packaging looks very similar. The box is pink, everything in her range is pink, and when you open it up and you give it a smell, it smells almost identical. Almost. I say almost, they both smell lemony. This one perhaps has got a little bit more lemon in it. Okay, so I thought let's compare these two. Now I did a test. Was it yesterday? Today? I'm wearing it today all over my face, under my makeup. And actually it's really helped my makeup wear. I did touch up my makeup just before I came on screen because I've been cooking and stuff. So, but when I say I touched it up, I just put a little bit of Bare Minerals over the top because I was starting to just get a bit oily in the middle from standing in the heat and doing cooking. And my makeup's worn beautifully. Of course this eye's still watering, but it's not too bad. So let's get on and compare these two. Now I'm going to show you both creams. So here is the Bobbi Brown one. Now what I would say, I'm going to tell you about the ingredients in a minute, so don't worry, haven't forgot to tell you about that. So the Bobbi Brown one I would say is a little bit thicker. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there so you can see. It's quite a thick cream, but it melts very quickly when you start to rub it in. But I'm going to just leave that blob there. Now Lisa's one is slightly thinner. You can see in that jar there, it's not going anywhere. It's quite a thick cream. I don't know what would happen if I did that with Lisa's. No, actually I don't think it would go anywhere. It's slightly thinner. It's slightly thinner, but it still stays put. I would only say very marginally thinner than the All About the Base, but it is a little bit thinner. Smells identical. Now, yesterday or the day before, can't remember, but I'm going to put a little video up here in the corner as I'm chatting to you all. I decided I was going to do half of my face. I did this half with Bobbi Brown, and I did this half with the Lisa Armstrong. And then I put my makeup on, and I put the Lisa Armstrong foundation, and I put it over my entire face. So I didn't want to change anything else, just the base, to see how they compared, and then came back at the end of the day. Now, fast forward in the top of the screen. I'm going to have to cut a lot of what I did out, but fast forward to the top of the screen now to the end of the day, and I honestly could not tell any difference with the wear of my makeup. You'll see me at one point. I'm sure I won't be able to time it in the right way, but you can see me going, because this eye had watered and some of my makeup had run down. And so I was questioning whether or not that was Bobbi Brown, because the other side, interestingly enough, was the side that is the one that's really watering at the moment. Can you see that? And this is the one that's watering more, and yet it was that side that had really smudged. But I really don't think, in fairness, that we ought to judge Bobbi Brown for that, because I may have rubbed my eye. It may have been due to eye watering. It may have been due to other things. But as far as my face makeup was concerned, I couldn't see a difference with either side. Okay, so really couldn't tell. When you go to put it on, as I say, this does feel a little bit thicker. But to be honest, because the Bobbi Brown, this is the Bobbi Brown one I'm blending in now, because the Bobbi Brown one melts in so quickly, once you've actually rubbed them into the skin, there's no difference. There really is no difference. Now let's get to the ingredients, because of course you all want to know about the ingredients, and that's the important thing. And then I'm going to get you onto who I think might actually, I'll do the comparisons of the prices and the amounts and etc., and who might want what and in what situation. Okay, so to the ingredients. Now I looked at both sets of ingredients, and surprisingly they're very similar ingredients. There's a lot of shea butter in both of them, but the Lisa Armstrong are missing a couple of ingredients. So I'll tell you about the Bobbi Brown. So Bobbi Brown's got, it's got shea butter in it, it's got glycerin in it, it's got yeast extract, which, kind of really good for balancing out the skin, but this has got something in it very similar. It's got sodium hyaluronate, which, as you know, is a form of hyaluronic acid, and it's got vitamin E, and it's got squalene, it's got grapefruit peel oil, and it's got geranium flower oil, magnesium ascorbyl phosphate. Just cutting in here to say, in case you don't know, I'm sure lots of you do, but magnesium ascorbyl phosphate is a water-soluble form of vitamin C, which is no doubt why she calls this cream a vitamin enriched face base, because it's got vitamin E and vitamin C in it. Now, it has to be said, it is very low down on the list, just before the linalols and geraniols and the kind of preservatives. So there's a very small amount of water-soluble vitamin C, which Lisa Armstrong does not have at all in her product. Again, it will depend on how important that is to you, and I'm talking a bit more about that when I summarise at the end of this video. And then it's got the kind of usual fragrances like citronelle, geraniol, linalool, chlorphenicin, which is basically is a preservative to stop it going off, etc. Top ingredient is water, and then other things that are chemical names that I don't really understand an awful lot of, and don't try to pretend that I am a big skincare expert. There's something called Lobium angustifolium extract, which I must look up one day. Beta carotene, good stuff, basically. So let's move on to the Lisa Armstrong. Now, Lisa Armstrong, top ingredient water again. It's got dimethicone, which is a kind of silicone. It's got, then the third ingredient in this is shea butter. Actually, the shea butter is higher up on the list of ingredients than in the Bobbi Brown. It's got glycerin, so again, the same as Bobbi Brown. And then it's got triethylhexane glycerin. Again, it's got vitamin E, and it's got all the linalool benzoate, and it's got lactobacillus ferment. So I'm not sure, but I think that's quite similar to having yeast in that they're kind of the ferment ones. You often find these ferments, I don't know exactly what they do. They're kind of skin balancers, I think, a bit like when you eat them in yogurt. But I do know that when I've used lactobacillus ferments and anything that says ferment in my skincare, and I've often seen them in essences, that it takes that tightness off your skin when you've just cleansed your skin. It just makes your skin sink back to how it felt before. And so, as I say, I'm not an expert. I just know how certain ingredients make my skin feel. And I certainly get a bit of a dry skin after cleansing my face if I'm using a wash-off cleanser. And an essence with ferment in it always makes my skin just go, whoa, I'm now back to where I was before I cleansed. And I think, but please look it up for yourself, that yeast extract might be quite similar to having lactobacillus ferment, a kind of similar kind of properties, I would imagine. I will put a few notes down here if I find out different. But basically, there's two key ingredients that Bobbi Brown has got in hers that Lisa doesn't appear to have in hers, and that is squalene and hyaluronic acid. Okay, now let's look at the differences in price. So I looked up the price of the full size because obviously I've only got the travel size. The full size 50ml jar of Bobbi Brown's vitamin enriched face base is £45 for 50ml. Now, little problem, Lisa Armstrong by Avon doesn't actually talk in mils, it talks in grams. So I can't compare like with like. But I would say, looking at that jar, that's 50ml. It says it's 25 grams. But to me, that looks like 50ml of product. I've only just opened this jar in the last couple of days. But you can see, I would say there's 50ml in there. So, this is £15 from Avon. This one, £45 for, I would say, probably a similar size. Okay, so big saving here. And a lot of the reviews on the Avon site said, I've been using Bobbi Brown for years and I'm not going to go back because this is a lot cheaper and in some ways it's better. I don't know what, they didn't stipulate why they felt it was better, but they said it felt better on their skin. I think possibly because it's a bit of a lighter texture. So it may be that they felt that it melted less on the skin because it feels a lot more cooling because it's a thinner texture. And when I say it's still not thin, you can still hold it upside down. It's just thinner than the Bobbi Brown one. So, who do I think this might be for? Okay, let's get on to that now. Okay, so before I talk about who I think might want to get Bobbi Brown, who I think might want to get Lisa Armstrong. And by the way, just to throw something else into the mix, I saw some reviews saying I'm no longer going to buy Magic Cream, I'm going to buy this because it's cheaper. Okay, I'll be right back. I just need to use a tissue. Okay, so as I said, some people saying I'm not going to buy Magic Cream anymore, I'm going to buy this because it's a lot cheaper. Now, I want to go back to this question about what is a primer. Now, I kind of believe that a primer is priming your skin well before you put your makeup on. And I have got quite an in-depth skincare routine, so I have to admit that I often don't bother with primer. And when I say that, I mean I often don't bother with a product that calls itself a primer. I've got a couple, but I've got this one from the Body Shop, and I've got a Laura Mercier one at the moment, and I've got all sorts of primers. But I often don't bother with a product that actually says it is a primer, because my skincare is such that I feel like my skin's already primed and ready for makeup. Now, if you've got quite open pores, you may actually need to use a primer because you feel like you need to smooth out open pores, and you need a primer that's got a bit of silicone and a bit of slip in it. The Daniel Sandler primer is really good for that, by the way. You know, if you've got the open pores and you feel, or any texture to the skin, maybe you've got acne scarring, then a primer that smooths out your pores is something that you might not get in your skincare. So I totally get that. If you are using a primer to moisturize your skin and give it a good even canvas because you've got dry areas, which I have, then a moisturizer can often give you a good primed skin. And that's why I often don't use something that calls itself a primer, because by the time I get to putting my makeup on, I've used moisturizer, I've used serums galore, I've used a lot of other things. And I certainly use hyaluronic acid serum in my skincare. Right, so I just wanted to explain all that first, because I think, would I miss squalene and hyaluronic acid? I would say, if you're somebody like me that has quite an in-depth skincare routine, then no, you're not, because you're going to have that already in your skincare. So if you're using hyaluronic acid serum in your skincare, do you need it again before you apply your makeup? Probably not. Now, has it got smoothing properties in it? You see, to me, the main ingredients in the Bobbi Brown, and I think really in Lisa's, the main things in terms of priming the skin are to give you moisture, to give you a nice smooth base due to moisture. There doesn't appear to be an awful lot of kind of, I can't see dimethicone actually. I can't see any dimethicone in the Bobbi Brown, but it is in Lisa's. But to be honest, I didn't really notice it that much. It says it's a matte primer. The Lisa Armstrong one, it says it's matte, but to me it just felt very moisturising. That's really strange, because yes, it is the second ingredient. So if you think you need a bit of silicone as well as moisture, then I would probably say Lisa Armstrong. I'm just a bit surprised that the Bobbi Brown one doesn't have anything like that in it. And I will double check before I put this video out, because I mean, I'm looking at the ingredients here and I can't spot dimethicone, but there are other things that I might not understand the name of that I want to... Oh yes, there is dimethicone. I beg your pardon. Dimethicone cross polymer. but it is quite low down on the list of ingredients, whereas Lisa's one is further up. Okay, so long way round. I hadn't spotted that before. I'm just going to keep this in. I could retake all of that and start off by saying it, but you like me to keep it real, so I'm going to keep it real. I would say, with all the stuff, if you're using a good skincare regime already and you've spent a lot of money on your skincare, as I have recently, then you are not going to miss a little bit of hyaluronic and squalene in your primer, if that's what you're using it for. If you want to double it up and use this as a moisturizer cum primer, then you may want something with squalene and hyaluronic in it, in which case you don't mind spending the extra money on your skin. I get that. If, however, you're somebody that wants a separate primer to put on, maybe you put your skincare on first thing in the morning and then there's a bit of a delay before you put your makeup on later on, and you always like to prime before you start applying your foundation, and you use hyaluronic acid already in your skincare, this is £30 cheaper than the Bobbi Brown. It smells exactly the same, and I think a lot of what we pay for, and this is for every brand, I think a lot of what we pay for is for marketing. These very large brands, it's to do with marketing, it's to do with packaging, and it's not necessarily all about the ingredients, although it has to be said squalene and hyaluronic could be why this is more expensive. But I don't think you're going to feel, with this packaging, it's so pretty anyway, I don't think you're going to feel like you've got something cheap sitting on your dressing table. They've really thought about that with Avon. So you may feel that it's worth a try. I certainly couldn't resist trying this out, and I've used it today under my foundation and it's lasting up very well. My skin feels very hydrated. I don't think I would call this a mattifying primer. Let me just, even though it's got dimethicone in it, I'm just going to put this over this hand again. Because there's so many moisturising ingredients like shea butter, to me it doesn't stand out as being one that's full of silicones, if you know what I mean, and mattifying. It's not going to make you ultra shiny either. It does sink in, but would I call that mattifying? Not really. Right, let's put Bobbi Browns a bit further up here, and then I'm going to quickly show you one that I know has got a lot of silicons because I feel them, and it's my Body Shop one that has got a lot of kind of silicones in that smooth out the skin. You know what I mean about feeling them? It feels like silk when you put it on it. Your skin, your fingers start to slide a little bit with when you feel the silicone in a primer. Now I'm just going to put the Bobbi Brown. I might run out of arm space. Bobbi Brown doesn't call hers mattifying. It does smell identical though, almost identical. Right, so I wouldn't say either of those are particularly mattifying my skin. Okay, and then just to show you that, I don't know if we're going to see anything different, but this one is a vitamin C skin reviver and instant smoother. And this, I don't have the ingredients, you've got to peel off the back, but I know from the feel of it, it's got quite a bit of silicone in it. I'm just going to put that a bit further up, and a great big bit slodged out, look. And let's put this a bit further up, I'll put it here. you see how that doesn't have the shine on it that does, and that does. Shine, not really shine, because it's got a sort of more mattifying ingredients. I hope that shows. I think it does. Look, you can see there's Bobbi Brown. Let me come right up. Bobbi Brown Avon Body Shop, a little bit maybe, but it's more smoothing. It's more, I put a little bit, sorry, I'm just going to show you what I mean, because I've got a few. Please don't spurt out all over the place again. I'm going to waste you, and I don't want to. Oh, the only thing about this, you go and you want a tiny bit, and it just lets out a full pump. If I put this over here, do you see how it just shuts down those pores, fills them in? Those look open. Let me just show you again. Fills them in. But if I do Lisa's, let's see. Now that it should do a little bit of, I mean, it's not going to work miracles, but the dimethicone should fill some of that lining. And you see, it doesn't feel to me like it's doing that, but it's giving me moisture. And I doubt that the Bobbi Brown would do it either, because it's got such little amount of dimethicone in it that, again, I don't think it's going to do much. But we shall try it on the other side, just to experiment. No. But this does definitely feel like it's kind of filled in those pores around my nose. So, yeah, I would say do not get it if you want mattifying, but it's a very, very good primer. If you want mattifying, maybe you want to try this one from the Body Shop. This is Vitamin C Skin Reviver Instant Smoother. Brilliant, brilliant smoothing primer, and it's got vitamin C in it as well. Okay, I hope that hasn't confused you, but any questions, do ask me below, and I'll try and get back to you. I'm a little bit better these days at getting back to people, so yeah, just leave me a message underneath and I'll try and get back to you and answer you as best I can. I will also leave a link if you are interested in getting the Lisa Armstrong All About the Base primer, and you don't have an Avon rep, do consider purchasing it off my friend Cheryl Crees. I'll put her link below, and I hope to see you all very soon. Take care. Love you all. Bye bye. Mwah.